My name is Spencer Hope Davis, and I came to Death Faire today for the first time. My daughter recommended it for me. She was at the Shikori Festival where some of the other speakers were at, and that gave her the idea to suggest that we come together today, and we did.
So, how's your experience been so far?
It's been good. I met some people that I hadn't seen before, in a while, and a couple of the events have really given me some things to think about, and helped me deal with some of the things that I was kind of processing and working through. And some things sounded very similar to what I was thinking about, and that kind of helped confirm that I was on the right path.
So, tell me about some of what have you been experiencing lately that brought you here today?
Well, most recently, my wife's godmother passed away in June. And before that, her uncle passed away in the latter part of last year. And that kind of triggered a lot of unresolved grief that I had about my mother's passing and my father's passing, and my own mortality. And so I really needed a space to kind of think about how to process grief, and kind of recognize grief, because sometimes I just don't think that I don't think that what I'm feeling often is grief, but it really is. It's just a different way of manifesting the same thing. And so today has been an experience of kind of allowing myself to, as one of the people said in the grief ceremony, to be able to see grief in my way versus how someone else might feel it or describe it or experience it.
So, a lot of people they come here because they've lost a loved one, or you mentioned you've lost your parents and that kind of thing. So, are there certain things that you remember about them? Is there like a story that sticks out in your mind about them that you would be willing to share?
Well, the passing of my mother was from colon cancer, and there was a period of time, probably about 6 months, that she was sick but had not passed yet. And so that period of time was a lot of conversations, a lot of kind of understanding that she wanted to go. And I think that was probably the hardest thing for me to know that she didn't want to live in this world anymore. So it was a little feeling like abandonment. I guess I was very centered in my own experience versus her experience of her being tired. But also it was realizing that the life that she had led was one where she didn't want to even live anymore. Her entirety of her life was so hard. Her journey was so hard that when she got the diagnosis of cancer, it was almost like a relief. And she did not want treatment. She did not want to do anything. And that was hard to hear, that she was tired and she was ready to go. So that being left, I'm not the only child, but I did have other siblings who have either passed or were not close. And my mother was kind of the last piece of my history. And for her to not want to be here was just really hard for me. And so when we went through that whole time and space together, once I accepted that she wanted to leave and I accepted that she was, we went to another space of togetherness. And she didn't live in the same town, but we talked on the phone all the time. And there was a period of time in the last week or two of her life where she was on heavy medications for her pain. But she would always wait for me to call her, and we would talk. And sometimes she would wait to take the medication so she could say whatever she needed to say. And the day she passed away, I called and she wasn't able to talk. And my stepfather just put the microphone next to her so that I could hear her. And I could hear her breathing. And then he said, "I think she's waiting for you." And about 30, 45 minutes later, he called back to say she had passed away. So she left with me on her mind, I think. But she left with a great deal of sadness. And I think the struggle that I have is to try to process her sadness and her experience that she shared with me, but also to process my own sadness by being left here That's the way I look at it. And having to figure it out, you know, as an adult. That's the day I became an adult, was the day my mother died. Even though I had been an adult a long time, that was the day I became an adult, and that was the challenge for me.
That's a really beautiful story.
Thank you.
I'm kind of getting choked up right now because I'm like, that's such a beautiful, like, I don't know, expression of love. To say, like, to want to wait to take medication so you can talk to her later. Thank you for sharing. That's so beautiful. Is there anything else that you wanted to let people know about, or let yourself know about your process of grief and what you learned?
It's just that grief doesn't stop, and loss doesn't stop, and it has many, many new forms and many, many new people and pets and loved ones that leave us, and it's something that we have to learn to embrace, I think, because otherwise it's just too painful. We don't have to find a place of happiness in it. I don't think that's part of it. I think it's one of the emotions of life. And I don't think we have to find happiness, but we have to find a place where we can exist in it without destroying who we are. I think that's one of the lessons of life. We have so many, but grief is one of them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Whew.
We have tissues. I didn't have them last time. So
No, I'm pretty good. I kept them. Thank you. So